All right, it is 7 p.m. I'm going to call this meeting to order. The first item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming. Next item on the agenda is the roll call.
Trustee Cappy,
Here.
trustee Hawk,
Here.
trustee Beckman,
Here.
president Gerke,
Here.
trustee Dorward,
Here.
trustee Bart. Here. Trustee Mylan.
Present.
All right, seeing as we have a quorum, we will continue. The next item is for public comments. Again, these are public comments. They're limited to 5 minutes per person and anything that is not on the agenda tonight. Going once, going twice. All right, we'll move on to the consent agenda. One thing I do want to change on this, there was a motion in items for discussion interaction number letter C to approve contract with commercial recreation specialist for splash pad. We're not approving a contract or discussing it. We're actually looking at a letter of acknowledgement. So I would like to have that made known in the agenda, in the consent agenda as well.
This letter for the splash pad, is what you're saying?
That's correct.
That, what kind of document is this actually? Is it legality? I mean, is this a legal document that we're signing with the village or not?
Yeah, so I would say
No,
I'm just changing the name of what it is that we're doing. I'm not actually, we'll discuss that when we get there. It's just not a contract for business. So that's why I'm asking for that change in the agenda.
I'll move to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
All right,
Without this, is what he's saying? Is that what you're?
No, I'm-
Changing the name of.
changing the name of it. That's all I'm doing.
He said it's printed.
Yeah, actually you did.
As corrected.
As corrected, he said, okay, all right. All right, that change your second?
No.
Okay, so I still have a motion in a second. Any discussion? Call a question, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, so we still have the consent agenda with the minutes, general fund, temporary class B retailers license, and approving the liquor license for Jen's Place LLC.
Second.
All right, I have a motion in a second. Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Nice work. All right, next we have presentations. We have 2 oaths of office. We'll start with Josh Venata, new paramedic. Josh, you can come on.
And you could please raise your right hand and repeat after me. Josh Van Meter, having been appointed as a jury, but have not yet entered upon the duties thereof. Swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin, and will faithfully discharge the duties of said office to the best of my ability. Thank you.
Thank you, Josh. All right. And now the second one we have is for Joseph Courtwright, who is taking the firefighter oath of office.
If you please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Joseph Portray, having been appointed as a firefighter, but have not yet entered upon the duties thereof, swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin, and will faithfully discharge the duties of said office to the best of my ability. So help me God. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
You gonna do that quite enough?
Yeah, I don't know. Thank you both for your service. We appreciate it, and we're looking forward to having you in the village here with us. All right, next we have the presentation on the Village of Fredonia strategic plan.
Our stuff inside you, you're welcome to say it.
Oh, okay.
Gee, that's early.
Jeez, that's good.
Heading up vacation for a second.
Where you going?
Anything special? I'm working on it. Okay. Just gonna give you the whole screen is sort of part of it.
I'm just gonna get him the whole screen and have it.
Oh,
This is a zucchini from my garden.
Hey.
Thanks, big.
It's at your gavel.
Yeah, it kind of is. If anybody wants it, go ahead.
All right.
Too many.
If we're ready to go here, so thank everybody. Back to the on. So I don't know if there's intentional or not, but thank you for being here. Watching some of our meetings. Feel something to speak, right? So I'm presenting the Village of Fredonia strategic planning results. This was started back when I first got hired. We talked about doing some sort of a strategic plan, and then it's put in place in the administrative goals for 2023. In order to do this, we had to put together a motley crew. So I'm going to get some plans here. Our village staff have stated, along with myself, as Eric Collis, our director, and Melissa Geddes, our treasurer. And then we had some board of community partners that joined, our president, Dave Gerke, Tiffany Barnes and Josh Haas, who are trustees, Dave Carroll, the NOSD superintendent, we had a board from Port Washington State Bank, and then second round along to local real estate. So thank everybody for being part of this process and coming along for the ride. So as stated, administration was tasked with creating the strategic plan for this year. And we really have three main goals and objectives. So the first was to create an overarching mission and vision for the organization. These are pretty common, like corporate organization, creating an overarching mission and vision. Next, we create strategic priorities. So these are overarching, call it themes or goals for organization that everything we do align with those priorities. And then finally, talk about some realistic goals for the next 25 years. The way we did this is we met 5 days, spread out between a couple of weeks, twice a month, with some gaps in there. And this is how we broke down our time. Day one, we talked about our overarching feelings about Fredonia. We talked about the good, the bad, ugly, everything possible think of about Fredonia. We identified key stakeholders that either live within the village or influence the village itself. And then we started to define what that mission would look like. On day two, we reviewed a survey that was sent out to community participants. We identified some strategic priorities and we weighted that on our wants versus actual dollars and cents that we could afford. and we finalized the mission and vision. Day 3, we reviewed, census data, and then we discussed the metrics for success, how would we measure some of these priorities. Day 4, we finalized the metrics, we established goals and obstacles for helping. Then in day 5, we reviewed a citizen survey that was sent out to the community, and then we completed our goals for commercial, industrial, and recreational use, and the other goals, followed soon. So overall, if I were to summarize the themes of our process, it would be these. So there clearly is a growth mindset here in this community. You can see it in the census, you can see it in the committee, you can see it amongst the board and conversations that we have with residents, that we want to grow, but with a caveat, we really like this small town feel that we have here. So the struggle is how do you balance growth while still feeling true to that small town feel that we enjoy here. Second, we want to balance affordable living and consider financial policy with public needs at once. It's very evident, and you can see my road presentation, we have pretty expensive needs and wants here in this community. But at the same time, we recognize we're a very conservative community. We save dollars, and we want to make sure that we have strong financial policy that backs whatever these public needs and wants are. And then finally, investing in public infrastructure and public safety was very important. And there's an overarching theme that if we have, one job to do here is to have good solid roads, good utilities, and pair that with a strong public safety force here in the village. So what this looks like is you break things down into a mission, strategic priorities, and vision. So your mission is your purpose right now. A mission is, this is what we're here to do. This is why we come to work. This is why we sit at board meetings, why we create the policy that we do, is because of this mission. Our strategic priority is how we get there. We say that, hey, because of our mission, we now support A, B, and C as our strategic priorities. And then finally, our vision is what we hope to become. It's a more, butterflies, fluffy kind of statement that says, hey, we do this really well right now. And if we keep following through these strategic priorities, we hope to become this. And that's what that is. So now that we have that framework, I'm going to start and present to you the mission that was concluded for the village. So this says that we are a proactive and results-oriented community, continuously moving forward and planning for the future. We are committed to responsibly serving our community and embracing new ideas. By developing and supporting a quality growth strategy, we strive to deliver exceptional services and foster a thriving environment for the betterment of the community. So I'll just give you one moment to look at that, look at those words. Maybe that resonates to you. Right. Well, I hope it does. I hope at least some of these words do resonate with you because it's part of what we do in our jobs here day in and day out. Next, we settled on strategic priorities. So these were built through a lot of those themes that I talked about through the surveys that we collected, both the citizen surveys, the committee surveys, and really we kind of threw everything on a whiteboard and said, well, how do we funnel these into clear strategic goals for ourselves? So our number one strategic priority that we concluded was smart residential, industrial, and commercial growth. We know that if we didn't have that growth, you know what? Taxes are going to go up, right? And if taxes go up, it kind of ruins all this other stuff that we're going to talk about. So smart residential, industrial, commercial growth is number one. Next, not surprisingly, was responsible fiscal policy. This was found to be almost number one, the highest prioritized priority that your residents had shared with us. That, you know, hey, we want fun stuff to do in the village, we want strong public safety, but someone to do it responsibly, whatever that might be. Next is supporting public safety and infrastructure. Again, those are our key tenets that we're here to provide and build. Number 4 was encouraging open communication and collaboration. I would say with a younger community that you have, they want more of that give and take. They want to feel like they have a voice here, and whether it's here at a board meeting, it's in-house when they call us, or when they're talking to you guys as the representatives, they want to feel heard, and they want to know that communication is back and forth. And another piece of that is collaboration. We can't do everything on our own, and we shouldn't be expected to, right? We have partners throughout the community, whether it's businesses, nonprofits, school district, county. The more that we can work together, again, the better our savings can be overall. And then finally, our fifth priority is a strong sense of community. This is nice to kind of like tie it up in the bow, right? If we do all of these things well, top 4, and guess what? We have a strong sense of community at the end of the day. So finally, we have our vision. So again, this is a little bit more optimistic, a little bit more fluffy feeling statement that says, hey, if we follow through our strategic priorities, this is what we hope to do. So this reads, our vision for the village of Fredonia is to cultivate a sense of pride among its residents, promoting a vibrant community where people can live, work, and gather. We envision a municipality that experiences continual steady growth, both in terms of infrastructure and economic opportunities. Our goal is to create an inviting and thriving environment for individuals, families, and businesses, making the village of Fredonia a place where people can build meaningful lives and contribute to its prosperous future. So again, at the end of the day, villages and cities were created to connect people, right? It's people coming together with a common value and a common goal, and this helps us do that. It says that we want to continue to create that sense of community. We want to continue to encourage people to be here, as long as, again, we're aligned with those key strategic priorities that we have, that we mentioned prior. So what you should be asking yourself is, Chris, this is great, there's a lot of fluff. What the heck are we going to do with these words? Yep, I see you, Bruce, no worries. So what this helps us do is a couple things. So it helps us with our branding and marketing. You guys are proving and saying that, hey, you know, we agree with this, the trajectory we want to go. Well, then we're going to obviously more proactively market things like residential growth, growth in the industrial park, these kind of items. They seem like no-brainers, right? We should be doing that. But if we can tie it back to a key strategic priority or the overarching plan for the village, then you get more buy-in, right? There's buy-in from the board, there's buy-in from staff, and buy-in. Next, to help us set our future goals. I hope that, you know, maybe not this budget cycle, but next year's budget cycle, when I'm presenting different items and objectives and goals for us, I can tie every single one of those objectives back to a strategic priority. Because if it doesn't match a strategic priority, guess what? We probably shouldn't be doing it, right? That helps you guys too. So the next point is aiding decision making. There might be an agenda item or decision that you guys have. We say, you know what, I'm really wrestling with it. I'm not sure which way to vote. Well, if you're ever not sure how to vote on a certain item, tie it back to the strategic plan. It doesn't match one of the strategic priorities. It doesn't match in your mind one of those strategic priorities. And that way, a better debate to have amongst this group is, hey, I don't think it matches the strategic priority, but I do. Right? That's a better argument to have than whether the project is worthy. Next, agenda item creation and consenting. You'll see this. I actually did it for the first time in your document on the splash pad white item. You should see a memo document that I don't know, Michelle, did you continue to
I
one?
did, I
Oh,
printed
you
it.
did. If you want to pass it around. So what we've been doing as staff is mostly with your agenda item, any action item you have, you see the memo document, right? Either myself or a DPW director or someone to put together with our thoughts. Now those same thoughts will get put into this kind of form that you're going to see in a more organized fashion. So it'll lay out very clearly what's the financial impact, where are we getting this money from, does it align with the strategic priority, and then it's going to give you kind of like the snapshot of this is the background information, this is how we got here, and this is our recommended action. And that way you have all of that information right there in one document that you guys can then make a decision on how you want to proceed. And then finally, all of this is really just a launching for comprehensive planning. So your prior administration have done that comprehensive plan update. They were maybe a couple chapters through. We've probably should get going on picking that back up and working through it. Wadaki County is gonna be doing their comprehensive planning, next year, and they're encouraging municipalities to do it right alongside them. This strategic planning document is now our launching, spots for them to do that comprehensive planning with them. And then for those who that don't really know, comprehensive planning is again, your physical layout of the village. It's a lot of that future thinking to say, hey, this farmland right here would be really great for residential growth, or no, I think this one would be great for more industrial park expansion, right? It's that kind of forward thinking stuff that we need to be thinking about now, so that our predecessors 25 years from now have something in waiting on tap. So, in conclusion, this was a lot of fun to work with the committee and work on this. I've been through this process this year with other communities and involved in nonprofits. I enjoy this process. It really just allows them to kind of get everything all out there, and I'm sure the president can share that we've talked very candidly about some of the things we love about the village, some frustrations, and everything in between, and we were able to coalesce around these high-level goals and priorities for the village. So I'm happy to answer any other questions. Otherwise, we'll have an agenda item a little bit later. We're going to ask for adoption. And so let's move forward, please.
Any questions of Chris?
Dan, I don't know if you want to share anything just about the process?
Yeah, I mean, I'll just say that it was kind of enlightening. It was cool, a lot of the things that we have talked about at different committees and, priorities that we've had in the past that we've done within the last few years. A lot of those things aligned right with that, right? And so it was encouraging to see that we've been moving in the direction that, I guess that the board is kind of, that the committee pictured us going in, and to get that affirmation was good. It was nice. It was good to have community members out there from all over the place, different industries, things like that. Great viewpoints from all the people that were involved. And I really appreciate the time that everybody took to do this and to volunteer their time to do it. It was outstanding. So thank you very much for that. All right. With that, then we go on to the next item, which is a splash pad presentation.
I have a few slides here, so I'll just plug this in if you don't mind.
Sounds good. Want to introduce yourself?
Yep. Ryan Strachan with Control Metals. I've been in a series about one for about 6 years now. We know splash pad, shade, playgrounds, side amenities, just parks. That's one side of our business. The other side of our business is inflatables. So if anybody's played on inflatables in the pond, that was probably us that put that together. Final Black has one. Dale has the really big one that just talked about. So I was invited today, and I appreciate the invite to talk about splash pads. I can answer any of your questions. I have a few slides first. Get into design, we can get into cost, we can get into a whole bunch of things. Usually our splash pad 101 presentation takes about an hour and a half. I know I don't have that. So I just want to cover a couple different things. Just a little background on us. We've been around since 20,000. We're national and regional. Our offices or our corporate offices in Verona, Wisconsin. We have satellites in Omaha, Iowa, Minnesota, and New Jersey. Which is kind of odd, but that's one of our owners is in New Jersey and one is in Verona. We have support staff anywhere between 28 and 35 people. I think we have a total of 50 working for us. We cover about 60 different product lines. A lot of the campground stuff that you would see, go parts, all that good fun stuff. The junk controllers do anything in the product. We are exclusive for Vortex on splash pads, and they're out of Montreal, Canada. We have Dakota, Nebraska, Iowa, Minnesota, Wisconsin, New Jersey. We are exclusive with playing part in those states, and we are exclusive nationwide for with everything. That's like yellow and blue inflatables that you see in the box. Splash pad wide, we have done over 350, we probably over 400 in Wisconsin, Minnesota, Iowa, Dakota, Nebraska. And then Vortex has done over 8,000 worldwide. So a lot of experience there in the splash pad. Is everybody familiar with the splash pad? Kind of know what it is. Water's up, water's down, water goes up. There's really two kinds of splash pads. The research system and flow through system. A flow through system with bottled water coming in, up through the features, out, down to the drains, and into a basin or so. That's flow through. A research system, think of a swimming pool. You have your chemical, you have your pumps, you have the whole thing. So you have water that's in a holding tank that gets recirculated with chemicals. 30 minutes, every 30 minutes, a pump will take off and recirculate that water so it's not stale. Once you hit an activator on a splash pad, another pump will take that water from the tank through the manifold, up and out through the pipes, up to the features, down through the drain, and over. That's a research system. Just very general cost on that, you're looking at about $150,000 to $175,000 more right off the bat for the research system than a flow. Maintenance costs on a flow through, because Bruce had asked some of these costs. You have your water cost, which is the number one cost. You have your maintenance costs, meaning someone needs to go out and trash because you guys are going to have a ton more people. Splash pads draw from about 45 minutes. This way, Fredonia, all circle around. That is the population that's going to come. You can have a smaller pocket part, bag splash pad, and you can have a destination splash pad. So no matter which one you have, you're going to have more traffic. Then you're going to have startup and you're going to have winterization. Those are the two costs. 2 people on startup probably take you 2 to 3 hours, depending on the size of the pad. Winterization will take you about 3 to 4 hours, 2 people. So you can figure in your hourly cost for that. Regular maintenance costs of a flow through very, very low. You might need over 69 cents. But again, just clean out the trash. If you have on water, like in Sauk City, right away, we have to, the vertical features going up. We clean those and we put 12 racks on twice a year. Or it takes 2 guys a couple hours to go on. We have 21 days of harvest. You have soft water, then you probably have. So those are some maintenance costs and maintenance. Or on a research system, you have CPO. Certified as a certified kilometer. He or she will have to go out to the facility twice a day to measure and log test water. You'll have chemical costs. You'll have the pumps, everything else. You'll have a little bit higher electric costs. You'll have a lot lower water. So on a flow through this, you go about 35,000 to 40,000 gallons a day. On a research system, you will go about 1,000 a day. Difference in cost. And then depending on what size you have, you're looking at probably if it's a big splash pad, an 8 to 10 year payback on your research system. If it's a small splash pad, you won't see it. It'll be the water cost will still be a lot less than that initial cost on the research system. So that's just a little behind the mechanicals and costs and everything else like that. On the fun side, the design side, we have 3 landscape architects on staff, and we actually work with wherever we want to design splash pads. And we will lay it out, design it, do a rendering, we can do all the construction documents, all the P and E, private electricals, everything for that splash pad. We can also, construction plans, where the water's going, anything else like that. On the design part of it, what we're trying to accomplish, what we usually do, is we want to make sure it's exclusive. We want to make sure everybody can play in the splash pad. We just finished one of the backup into the grand opening last week. And the one thing that came out is, they had a child that was disabled. And before, they really didn't have any inclusive play. That now the playground and the splash pad, the first thing that child said, wow, Mom, I can play with everybody. So the wheelchair was able to move around because it's 36 inches for any of the features. The features are coming up on the sides, you can hit water, the water's coming down from the bottom. So it's not just one, ground spray coming up where the child can go over and you can share it. It's the child got wet and they were very, very excited about this. They actually mentioned that during the opening and they were totally thrilled. So we look at inclusive play, look at competitive play. We look at dividing out, as some examples. Dividing out a pad into sections. So, we have an toddler bay, the teen bay and family bay. What we try to do is keep the little guys, 1, 2 years old, possibly 3-year-old, in the section that they're not intimidated by the water. So if they see this big, huge pine tree, they're gonna go. But if they see a ground spray that's 18 inches, they're gonna go over there, they're gonna take it, touch it, plug the hole, and then watch another ground spray come up. So it's gonna be interactive, it's gonna be fun. Or a little fish, turn around and spin or hug. That's a top of it. The teen bay is gonna be a little bit more active, maybe a jumping bucket, splashing down, 30 to 40 gallons at a time. There's anticipation, just waiting for that bucket. And finally, you hear the screams and hollers and excitement. You have cannons shooting people with water all over the place. So that would be in the teen section. The family section is going to be a little calmer, where a parent or grandparent can go ahead and walk the child through a booth, or maybe they have an oak tree that's sprayed and missed out, something like that. So we separate into the phase concept, and it works really well for everybody, parents, grandparents, kids alike. And the bays can be separated too by colors of concrete. It can be separated by divisions of the set here, and then the key to the family might be probably here, or it can be separated on 2 different. I think this is wrong where you have the smaller kind of the side and the device in between, and then you have the family teen section up above. So that's a little bit on design. On cost going in, the features are one cost. So if you have a feature, vertical feature, that's what we call vertical. Or you can have the same swap mechanism down below, put a cap on with a spray feature, and then if you fundraise or you wanted to expand later on, so you start with the infrastructure, and then you go with the cap, and then you can always put a vertical on later on. We did this down in Wisconsin. There's about population about 400, and we had 1,800 square foot spot that way. And we started off with caps and the ground space. And finally, it was done. Kids are out, parents are out. They're all excited. Kids are laughing, playing, everything else. And then the first question is, what's yours? And the lady, the champion down there said, well, that's for a future feature. And they go, what is it? And well, that one's a fish, and that's a cascade, and so she started naming on what's it cost? Well, that's 7, that's 10, that's what. And she writes a check and on with the fish. And then now within a year and a half, they have all of it. And so that's one way to expand, and that's what we call a safe wall, safe wall. But I'm approaching my time here. So as far as splash pads, you know, they come in all shapes and sizes. There's some very unique styles that over here. There's a possibility of doing a two-tiered at the end of a parking lot. Recross, I think the name of it is, and the disc golf runs behind. So just a quick little vision of that. You have the setting where you have trees behind, and then you have a couple tiered. You could have a toddler, you could have a family bay, or vice versa. You could also have a slide going down where you could have a rock and then have this drain into this drain and then go out, form a little pond. There's a lot of different creative things that we can do with that particular area. You can also do like a half moon. So it just sits right back up, trees behind there, and a half moon where you just come into the parking lot. So there's a lot of great opportunity there at that particular park. Cost-wise, I know Bruce, you had some questions earlier when I was talking to him, we were in here together. You guys have any questions on either splash pads, cost, permits, anything like that?
One thing that I'd be curious to know, and I think I already know the answer to this, but if we were to do, you know, say you do your design, you go forward with this letter of acknowledgement. Are we able to provide some of the work ourselves or have other contractors in the area to do different things to kind of keep the cost down on some of that stuff?
Oh, great question. Yes, we welcome it. If we could do it all, or we can just sell features and sit back. We can come and watch, you know, periodically. We've done it a number of different ways. But what we do, if we do it all, we always solicit from them. So electrician or a concrete guy. But if you get a donation, then that really helps, or maybe public works would be able to do the drain line of the water. In Antigo, we just building theirs. They wanted to do more of a community type build. So they're doing that. They call me up, hey, what about this? What about that? And I just walk them through it, and then they go ahead and move on. Or I'll have our install guy just call them or something like that. So yes, we welcome it. We're not a company that says, no, you have to do it our way or forget it. We'd rather just work with you.
So the question I have, it says here, I'm looking at an estimate around $300,000. How many square feet are we looking at for that? And then what is the average that you see? Is this in the middle? Is this on the lower end? Higher end? I mean, like I said, we've never priced out splash pads before, so I don't know anything about it. But I mean, I was kind of hoping we get an idea on like how many square feet are we talking about here with this?
As an inverter.
One tier.
There's a lot of different things. I would say an average splash pad right now for flow through is right around that 300 feet.
Okay.
For a flow. And for a research, an average is right around 450 to 500.
Okay.
We're doing right now, we're designing it through Common Block, and we're probably at 500,000 for Common Block. It's big, it's 3,800 square foot. We have 2 shades, we have to do a demo, we have to bring the water line in from 200 feet. We're taking a shelter and moving that, so there's a lot involved. Union Road, they have a $500,000 budget for a flow through. And what they're going to do is probably spend around 300 on a splash pad and then 200 on the infrastructure. So improving the parking lot, painting the shelter, painting the bathroom, that type of stuff. So that kind of gives you an estimate. That one is 2,800. We're just going through the design phase right now. We'll get board approval on the 28th. We already have the community approval. So then we'll get board approval and then we'll start this up. And I'll work with probably about 5 people on the design and then go from
I have a question regarding pets and dogs in the area. I know there are restrictions, state restrictions or county restrictions on near these facilities like this. What will that do in the location for people walking dogs?
On a flow through system, it just drains right out this one.
And no, I'm just saying, is there gonna be able to be dogs running around there?
Again,
Are you sure about that?
what's your city ordinance on dogs? Do you have any rules? Do you have?
I'm talking about a splash pad where youngsters and stuff like that are in there, that there's not dogs in there at the same time. Things like this,
Oh,
yeah, there are rules on that, I know that, I did research on that.
Whatever the city rules are here, the village rules for dogs, I don't know what that is, but typically. I haven't really seen an issue with that as far as somebody bringing their dog and their child, usually it's on a leash. Are you talking about wild dogs, just running?
No, I'm talking about pets and stuff, near a splash pad, like in Belgium, there's signs, no pets, no dogs, whatever, by there.
You definitely don't want one in the research system. But on a flow through system. It's just gonna.
Just ton of dogs walking down there all the time
Should be fine.
and running.
Your dog hair is not, he's gonna go run out the storm. If they happen to, thing on a pad, water just cleans it off. So. On a flow through system. I've seen diapers on flow through systems. Everything else on the research system now, you have to clean the tank and flush everything out, just like a swimming pool. This is not a swimming pool on a float. This swimming pool on a. So that's. If you're worried about kids getting bit, that would be.
No, nothing like that, it was all about bacteria.
Because the water is potable. So unless they can get into the potable water source, there's not gonna be much.
Any other questions? You can take up.
Do you know what the cost per 1,000 gallons of water, water rate and stuff?
$3.
Compared to break down those numbers.
$3.22, I believe, would be our price. We would get the institutional price.
So and you're talking about $50,000, 50,000 gallons a day, approximately.
Yeah, you don't want to go above that, because anything above that on a flow through or a research system, then you need to get state approval with USPS. Anything below 50,000 on research, they don't even recognize.
50 or 15?
50.
50.
50. So we would design it with whatever number you want. In Rudd, Iowa, they only had 37 gallons per minute available. So we designed it for 37 gallons. Typically, we would do about 105 to 108. That'll get you somewhere around 47 to 48,000 gallons per day. But we do sequence. So if you had a splash pad with 150 GPM, we would sequence that down to about 100, 105. One, for water savings, two, for everybody. If a child goes and touches an activator and knows that that ground spray is gonna happen, they're gonna run over there and they're gonna let it up and take it. They're gonna get bored. But if they touch this and that doesn't work, now I'm gonna go over here, and then I'm gonna go over here. So we want the kids to move, and that's why we sequence. I mentioned the bonuses too.
So you're saying, and I just want to kind of clarify too with Bruce, so you're designing these that they could go up to that many gallons per day? Is that, that's what you're saying? Okay. So you're not saying the average is probably around 50,000 gallons per day?
That is a state. That's a state regulation.
Right.
Anything 50 and above, then you have to.
Yeah.
Sure. So that's kind of where we go. And then depending on how much water you have, if you're storm, if you have any regulations on your storm system, anything. We do cost breakouts,
Mhm.
so once we do a design, and we know your water cost, we know your electric cost. We'll go ahead and lay this out. This is an example of something like this, you know, your water cost, sewer cost, maintenance, chemical costs, electric costs. How much it costs over 10 years, how much it costs over 15 years. What we do is we plug in the gallons per day, there's in your sewer costs as well. We look at your daily maintenance. You have a dollar amount for that, hours that would be there, 60 for well, we do for a research, the number of days of the season is about 80, so you got 100 days between Memorial and Labor Day, 20 days of rain all year, which is about 80, and then how many percent wise that has going to operate during that time. All that calculates back up. So in this case, here's 130 GPM, 2,500 square foot flow through, 2,500 square foot research system. So if you fall the numbers all the way down, and just an estimated feature cost, total cost, water cost, all the way down. This is a little low. But for instance, in this scenario, you would run at about 14,700 on a flow through, at about 12,600 on a research system for this. If we jumped it up to 50 GPM, now you're going to run about 25,000 on a flow through, about 13,000 on a research system. Take that out 15 years. Your payment over 15 years is going to be 7.4. It's going to be 811. So you start to see a little recoup on your investment at this rate. At this rate, you don't. 540,000 on a research after 15 years, 445 after 15 years on a float. So we base it on GPM, we base it on the size of the pad, everything. So that's an example of cost. And you asked about that earlier, so I want to make sure that.
Thank you for that. You talked about payback. What payback do we get out of that?
So
The children, okay.
They start up demonstrate research and did this one.
They're probably, how much it's gonna cost, like, for 20 years, yeah.
Spend more time on this system, and eventually the benefit from it will be the several one and this.
Okay. Yeah.
They get to the word between now.
Do jurisdictions, in these jurisdictions, do they generally charge for admission, or is this always something that's, this is, we're doing this as a service to our residents?
Usually it's a service.
Yeah.
In Wausau, they charge, I think, to get in. In Belleville, we just opened one up there this year. It's connected to the pool. So there's a gate from the pool, and then there's a gate to the outside. They shut or lock that gate to the outside during the pool season, so they have to pay to get into the pool to the splash pad. But then on the off season, they shut the pool off, and they can come in at no charge. So it just really depends on kind of where you're at. I would say 90s, high 90s. It's good.
These all have timers on too, right? So you can regulate what time, the day that they run and all that stuff.
Your hours a day. We run with a microcontroller that is a controller made by Vortex. We do a lot of things with the microcontroller. Times a day. So if you want 10 to 6, and then let's say the 4th of July, there's a big event and you don't want anybody over there, you can already tell it. Just don't open it on July 4th. And then that way, if someone's pushing the actuator or something. So anytime after, before or after those hours, you hit the activator, it goes off 4 minutes. You can program that to 2 to 10, but it comes with 4 minutes. Right there in the Maestro, you can change that if you want. So you touch the activator, it goes off for 4 minutes. And then somebody has to touch it again to reactivate it. So that limits, if somebody touches it the wrong way and lets it go all day, it won't do that. It shuts off at 4 minutes. But there's a lot of other things in that Maestro too that we can do, but does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
would we have to, I imagine we have to meter the water. Would we have to return that to the water wastewater treatment plant? Or could we ditch release that? Or is that a DNR question?
I mean, if it's going into the storm anyway, it's like anything with everything else. I don't know how we would separate that out without
Mhm.
breaking another thing. To me, that would make sense to it.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what we had down at Reed Cross. If we had some actual piping and whatnot to collect water and deliver it someplace.
You have a couple different options down there. You could dig a retaining pond
Like a sampling?
and then
Mhm.
broke down.
Mhm.
You can hook it up into this storm, and let that run. Or you just let it run off like down that little ditch all the way through. So there's a lot of different options.
That's permissible, as far as you know, from like DNR and all that stuff. I mean, that'd be the kind of question that I'd
And
ask.
Seymour like went straight into a creek. In Boston, we went over about 40 feet of riprap. And then went right into a marsh. And Rowan, we went into a quarry, and that was about 50 feet. And you can just see the water because it's down low and the splash pads up high. And there's rocks and everything goes right into the quarry, and there's the quarry's cleaner now.
Haven't filled it up yet.
Yeah, it's just, the clean water, proper water. So yes, you'll get a DNR permit for that, which is no cost, but they'll look at it and see where you're going.
Last question, I'll be real quick, washway, if it is in a flood zone AE or, whatever designated zone it is, can you still do this, and where is that, runoff created, for natural flow, for precipitation, everything like this?
Actually,
To
we
our-
are in the floodplain inside. And it was flooded when we had spoke with that, which is ironic because it's 100-year flood on the plus. But the river ran up, flooded around them. The only thing we had to change there was the shelter. They had to reinforce the basement there. Nothing with the splash pad. The splash pad there was right into the house. So, if it's flooded up, you find that no clean, features and stuff.
I wouldn't say never to 100-year floodplain. That'll get you in trouble.
Never lived in Wabaka,
I've only been here.
Yeah.
It's not what that was back in.
A while back, we had 2 of them in 4 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we're not due for quite a while, but sweet.
Yeah, way to go. Don. Nice
There's
work,
like
Don.
280.
We are also building it, water next week. Water for the park, river run right next to it. And we're doing a place stream there, so it's a little bit different. You start at the top, and you kind of wind down, and it goes right into the river, if there's any left, because we designed it so that the first bunch of water will go right into a rain garden. And then as you keep going on down, the second bunch goes into another rain garden. And then it goes all the way down and then it'll just drip right into the river. The river there and that park is in floodplain. So it does come up. Not all of it would be in floodplain, but the bottom half is, so.
So there could be a lot of different, it's not just water running off and you just forget about it. I mean, there could be a lot of different things you could do with it. You could create different spaces and features and whatever, utilizing that quote unquote wastewater. I mean, that's something I didn't really even think about, something kind of neat.
If you had the budget, yes, you can do anything you want.
Well, right.
But if you like two-tiered it, you have a rock on the side. To one to shore up at the top, but then drain that over the rock,
Mhm.
the water comes down. It's not gonna be a play feature.
Yeah.
You kind of,
Right.
but then you can drain that right back into the second tier.
Right.
Which would be pretty cool.
Mhm.
That, one of those that I showed you before, where it had that one step.
Hmm.
So the idea of that pad was where that, the blue one, that was where the water was. Right off of that, yeah, we're gonna run right down the river. So there's not enough drainage.
Yeah.
That was the design of that.
So what I'm hearing is there's a lot of different things you can do with it. It's not just this. Here comes water coming up out of the ground and then it's gone. I mean, that's
We can appropriate it.
for a price.
The contours and that type of a feature within the concrete itself, are those on prints, are those engineered, or are those created by the artistic ability of the concrete workers?
You talk about that when I showed you that one,
So-
yeah.
No, the water content of the depressions, the this and the swales and.
Oh, okay.
That's your contractor's artistic ability.
Yes,
doesn't it?
yes, you could do it that way. Typically, on a splash pad, which is a great question, you have a slope. You go down to the drain. No matter if it's a kidney bean, circle, oval, square, it's gonna be 1 to 2%. Right after that drain. And then the drain line goes out, after that. So when you look at a pad, you kind of look at if it's a big circle, it's like, oh, it's full. But it's not great enough where, a child in a wheelchair is just gonna fly down there. That's why you gotta keep it under 2%. But you try to keep it above 1 because you don't want any. So anything that pools over 15 minutes, and if this was a research system, you're gonna get inspected. And the inspector is gonna say, cut a line, make sure that that drains, for 15 minutes. On a flow through system, you're not gonna get inspected, but typically we still don't want any puddles. So, the indents themselves, these are ground sprayed about this big. You want that concrete to be an 1/8 of an inch below or 1/8 of an inch above, that's it. On a safe spot, where that one cap was, you go about a 1/2 inch on the concrete. So they're out there working, they're pouring, they're maneuvering, they're trying to get that slope just right. You have a little bit of play on the bigger that has the vertical because of the toe guard that goes over, it's gonna hide that. So it's not gonna be post guard. If you bury an indent below, we do have, brass pieces that you can fit in there that breaks it out there, but it still doesn't. It still makes a little bit. We always try to be there for concrete work. Definitely, no matter if you guys are pouring in, we're pouring in, somebody else is doing it. Always try to be there because these guys are working in teams of 6 to 8, and they're trying to get us. There's rebar, all on center. There's bonding wires in here. They're moving pretty quick. So we want to make sure that tell them how to do it. Just there's an indent there, there's one there, and then as they're coming around, they come back and fix that real quick. And we've had really good success. And it's a medium room finish up.
Then you pour more dryer mix then, right? You end up pouring a more drier concrete mix. So you can push it, do it quick and it stays and then done.
All right, are there any other questions?
And that's a bull kind.
Well, I really appreciate you coming and doing this. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I think
Thank you for your
something
time.
we definitely needed, so.
Thank you guys.
Thank you. All right. Next item, we're gonna start doing reports on the committees. So the first one is the Parks and Rec Committee.
All right.
Trustee Burns.
It was a very productive meeting. We had a lot on the agenda. We did a quick debrief on the mud run. I shouldn't say quick because it was a while. Talked about the good, the bad, the ugly, what we can do better for next year. So that was really great. We had an update on the movie in the park, and since we held the movie in the park and it didn't rain.
Did not rain.
Well, the screen was up, so we'll say that. I think it was successful. We had a different group of people there this time, which was good. We did the 50-50 raffle with the basketball club. Made a little bit of money for them and
$130. That's something.
it's something. So that was good. We did have wind pickup, but that's all right. We talked quickly on the 150th anniversary celebration. Not really a whole lot needed from the village on that at this point that we are understanding. And then we talked about a few things coming up for the rest of the year, possibly winter walkthrough, summer music in the park, basketball upgrades to Fireman's or Stony Creek, and then some additional fall events. So we have another meeting scheduled, to continue the chats on that.
Excellent. Any questions of trustee Bartz?
I did, what is the cost breakdown when we have these movies in the park and, things like that? What, does it cost actually the village any money?
No, because we have been getting sponsors to pay for the movies, so the
Okay.
movies run roughly $500 a piece for the rights to show them. So costs out of pocket, we get a sponsor within the village to pay for that, and then it's no cost out of ours, and then the tech committee goes and sets up the
And
the
we own
screen
that
and all of
equipment?
that.
Yeah,
Correct, yep.
cool.
So,
And we own it thanks to a donation, what, 2 years ago? So that was kind of donated as well.
Yep.
Yeah, just some, yeah.
Yes. Any other questions of trustee Bartz? All right, then we did have the 150th celebration subcommittee that met on the 9th. I guess I can take this one, there's no reason not to. Group of citizens, along with trustee Bartz and myself met. Basically just started the conversation as to what we were gonna do, where it was gonna be, all those things. We decided as a group that we're gonna keep it on the fun before the fourth date of June 29th for next year, so that's our. I actually did not decide on that date, just so everybody knows. So it won't rain. Which will be good. But then we talked about different things that we could do, games, parade, fireworks, something else that we thought about doing is there's a time capsule, I believe, that's at the marshal's office from the 100th anniversary, if I'm not mistaken, so we could do something similar, bring that up and then put another one down there type deal, that'd be kind of fun. And then just again, games, kind of the same other stuff that we did for the previous ones, with the addition of possibly doing a craft fair, so we talked about that as well, just to create more of a sense of some other stuff to do. So again, we're just starting out right now, trying to get some budget items, and some other vendors and things like that, but we'll be meeting again in the next few weeks. So. Any questions?
There was a 75th anniversary of the incorporation of the village.
No, okay.
that time capsule's
Hmm?
pretty old.
Well, it's time capsule's been in there for 25 years.
Okay.
So
Did you
will
help
be,
any?
Mhm.
You did?
Yeah, I kind of know what's in it.
Don't tell
Don't
anybody.
tell anybody.
so on the 150th anniversary, it's asking, actually gonna be the 75th anniversary of the incorporation.
Correct.
Well, it's of the first settlement, the first buildings and whatever, isn't it?
But I think he's asking.
The one.
Incorporation.
Oh, yeah, no, so that's only like 25 or 30 years old, did we say? Time capsule that we put
The
in?
time capsule
Based
went
on-
into 2002 is only for 75 years.
Oh, I
But
see.
that's from a different point. That's from
Right.
incorporation village.
Right, so we're talking, the actual founding of the village is 150 years-ish
Okay,
old next year.
but the incorporation was when, 75 years ago?
Isn't it like 25, 30 years ago, is that what you're saying, 20?
Well, it'd be 100 years ago now.
Oh,
They incorporated
75th. I see,
in
I see.
8 and 1
Yeah, there we go.
Okay, so it's been incorporated. 100
Yeah.
years. Okay.
We did that already.
Perfect.
Just curious, I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Sorry to get off topic.
No, you're good. Any other questions? All right, we'll move on to the tech committee then.
That committee was just together for two reasons. One, to discuss the moving in the park, which discussed, so. And then we started talking about the upgrade to the microphone system in here. Luckily, we happened to have a guy in the building that night that knew a little something about that, so he gave us a couple of recommendations. So, just kind of pointed us in the right direction, right? So we asked staff to follow up on the recommendation. And at the appropriate time, we'll reconvene.
Excellent.
Get a clip on for when Chris is doing.
There you go.
So you're gonna have to hold it.
Any other questions for trustee Beglin? All right, we'll move on. Next, we have report on operations of the village. I will start as village president. We've been doing a lot of different things lately around here, one of which we went and visited the business of the month today, which was a lot of fun. So that'll be coming out soon here. Just making the rounds, talking to different people, investors, business park people, things like that. Different investors that are looking to do different things in the village. I guess I can kind of update on the Hillcrest subdivision. They have laid the storm sewer that is on Milwaukee Street as of today. It was finished. I believe the 29th, does that sound right? Of August, they're going to be doing the curb and the gutter, followed by the paving. So it is moving along, which is great to hear. And hopefully then they can start selling some other lots.
Do we have anybody inspecting that work? I mean,
Yeah,
if,
that's a good
when they get to the blacktop is next, we have to make sure there's no soft spots in them. Cause that's been laying like that open and whatever for a long time.
yeah, good point. We'll have to definitely make sure that we have an engineer out there to do whatever. So. All right, that's all I have. Next is the report from the village administrator.
All right, well, our auditor was here the last May monthly meeting, so we've been collecting for notes, feedback, what's it doing, credit journal entries. Gone over her notes, trying to make sure we understand everything. Maybe we do, maybe we don't, but things that we do understand, we've been updating, a lot of our books and a lot of the line item corrections that you'll see before you later on in the agenda are a result of bigger companies' work, so we thank you for that. I presented the CIP letter to the finance committee that approved it, along with kind of a timeline for the budget. So that is in works. I'd say we're further along than I thought we'd be at this point, which is great. Just so the board knows, despite how quickly we might put our numbers together, we're always kind of waiting for the state, right? The state will give us our revenues, some municipal levy limits, things like that. So we're kind of be hoping to whenever those numbers are out, then we can move forward. So my timeline is I'm just waiting on department heads requests to get in the meeting. Then Melissa and I can do the preliminary budgets. We have the numbers around the state, and once we have all of that, we bring that rough budget back to finance for their eyes and move forward. I do plan on, I believe, the first week in September, here's some their next meeting already. I'll do kind of just like a preview of the 2024 budget. Keep it sweet, you know, I'll do 2 or 3 slides. Just got to do some high level goals for 2024 and some of the numbers that we do over the test. So watch for that. Public safety, we've been talking more and more about paramedic stuff and the program in county. I'm sure Chris Dawson can share a little bit more about that for his report. Our marketing office has been busy helping out in various community events to talk about as well. Within DPW, first off, I'll say it again, this is the first thing I can say in my report. Thank you to our DPW staff and Mud Run. You know, they kind of done that event without their help, so we really appreciate that. They've made great progress on the one update, the SCADA system, Verifier project. They've received all of the insurance dollars for that project, which is great. And then our crew has been prepping the asphalt. You guys have Kelly to move forward on as well, and we'll be doing that work next week. Splashpad stuff, as was shared, we spent some time working on that, some early ideas and sites and designs. In the economic development world, we had a really good meeting with the Ozaki group that meets. They have a stakeholder community. They come together and they share ideas, projects that are going on. In this past meeting, we had a guest speaker from the Wisconsin Economic Development Council. This gave really good information. We're getting some grants and programs and things like that that we need for our developers to tap into. So we're really excited to probably bring that back in for another meeting with President and I to see how we can utilize their assets as well. And then finally, mirror image in the final stage of their developers agreement. We'll be emailing back and forth. We have our draft finalized, which is going through their attorney size and our attorney size, and then we'll have that all one. So, good stuff.
Awesome. Any questions for the administrator?
Yes, mirror image, when are they projected to be all set up and when everything developed?
So
Everything,
they're probably the most anxious and excited out of everybody, they're planning on building right alongside. So our plans are doing the road and utilities, spring, I mean, winter thaws next year. And they plan to be doubling the ground right along these. So they'll probably be the first site plan that's before the planning commission at all.
so this spring it's gonna be kicked off, you're saying? Projected to be all done, what, probably late summer or fall, maybe?
Yeah, ideally. It depends on. They have a deadline, they wanna hire employees, they wanna be in these.
Okay,
Yeah, they're pretty excited.
okay.
Anything else for Chris? All right, we'll move on then to the village marshal.
Can you answer any questions on the report? Besides that, I have a couple of comments.
Questions on the reports? All right, sir.
So after that, I decided to go with that, and I outlined that because I didn't agree at this thing. You have a leash law here in the village. Dogs, cats should not be running loose. And I will tell you, based on my experiences at Fish Day, people's ideal pets run from gerbils, snakes, to dogs, and cats, you name it, they're still up. I would highly suggest that don't allow pets at this thing. You're saying that. 150 of them. I don't often use this out in press, but I did. And I understand that, parade, and I would suggest to you, and we had this discussion, I actually. We wanted not to be spoilers to the fire department's parade. The parade is very difficult for the marshal's office to handle. I will not be here,
Mhm.
but for example, the parade for the fire department, we can only come up with 3 guys. I took an accumulated complicated, come work with the parade. With our part-time status, 5 of our guys are looking in their full-time jobs. So we have help from the Port Washington Reserve Program. They're coming up here to help us help in this. We've got, as long as that grade is, which is very long, you manage to cover an intersection with the law enforcement person, but that's about as much as we can. So that route, what I'm suggesting is one that's viable.
Right.
It's not very long, it comes right down any grade, that's one.
And I think that one of the discussions we had when we first started planning this parade for the 100th anniversary is this is our parade route in the village. So I would expect that would not deviate from what.
Correct.
That's right.
That's the
That's
intention.
That's what felt very well for us. We did that's
Okay, Travis.
that grade route, that's all.
Right.
That's what felt well.
Excellent.
That's all we have. We have any questions?
Yeah, do these guys like from Fort, they're gonna use their squats then, or how does that work? They're just standing there?
We have to use, well, they're coming with squad, the ones that are helping with squad. Yes, they're coming with vehicles and assist. So,
Bikes maybe, don't they do bikes in Fort yet?
we do, but we're not gonna have any place. We have arranged, Eric have arranged for, large old barricades at 3 locations. We'll be no parking posts to come, great route, so every morning. And then we need to route, we parking. I don't need parking, all the way out, looking forward, come back on the line. I think it's far away from the actual parade. No. We don't often mention the signs, just get people coming to the various points that we can set them down the model. On that side, we can set them down those speeds.
Not a question for the parade, but I've got a couple calls on people speeding coming off of 57. Right past the dollar store coming into town. The next time you guys move your signs, where do you have those picked, or are you gonna maybe throw one up here?
Well, we have to find. Okay, our signs, we have one sign that we've had for quite a while, and we have a point on the west side of Fredonia Avenue, as you're coming into the village, on top of the hill.
Yeah.
And there are 2 locations where normally we can move that sign around, that's solar. So that's kind of, those are kind of fixed sites. The other 2 signs we bought are battery powered. we can do those, and we only want enough brackets for Milwaukee and Berlin County, so those are kind of limited. We do have the ability to move them up.
But you need another one, you said. Or not?
I think if you're looking to put one permanently, we would, then you probably should invest in one. They're not cheap.
$3,000, right? Wasn't it?
At least, yeah. So they're expensive. I think they are expensive.
Yeah.
I mentioned before, I drive around the squad car, these same heights. I'm probably not gonna get a big, but I slow down these things. Folks that live in Martin love that. They absolutely love it. And I think on Milwaukee Street, at least from what I can see, it's had some effect. It's not gonna, eradicate, anything, but they do provide some effect.
Do you think the ones that are mobile, do you think it's effective moving them around to different places or?
No, if I had my druthers, we did that because we tried to be as, get the biggest bang for the buck that we could. Which is why we did it that way. I think if you had the funds available, I would put them on permanently and have them, and just have them there. Because they do provide some reduction speed for most people. But again, they're not cheap.
Has the one on West Martin been fixed yet?
We had to get the new bracket, that bracket is in. I don't know if Eric has had a chance to put it on.
Okay.
So that's one that's a solar mode.
My only concern about that is that, there's a lot of children and young guys that, fight right across there and, they get off at 57 and they're in the car. Trying to get through it, and this is a main corridor, other than 33. We all know that, they're not building a bridge someplace else for trucks or anything like that, so. Keeping that speed down is very important.
I didn't do it this year, but several years ago, I got track of really low speed. We only have them by far. The leader in numbers of speed tickets that we write. And that is primarily because it's being thoroughfare and it's
A question regarding, the complaints and arrests. There's a vast difference between last year's at this time. This is 730 complaints and 120 arrests. Looks like it's almost double the amount of arrests. Any reason for that? Is there a ruckus?
I'm not sure it's kind of. So if you look at the figures from last year, those are the entire.
Oh, these are total, not as of July 30th. Okay, all right, then that makes sense.
As of July 31st.
Okay. Okay, all right,
But we
I'm
should,
good then.
we should end up somewhere
We'll probably catch up
in
then.
the same ballpark, give or take.
Right,
Yeah, give or take.
okay.
And when it's cold.
All right, do we have any other questions for the marshal? Thank you for patiently waiting, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank
You
you.
too, you too. All right, next we have a report from the fire chief. So the report is actually in the packet, so.
Oh,
you know. Any questions on the report at all? Probably can't answer them anyway. All right, then we will move on to the Public Works wastewater treatment plant. Again, reports in your packet. Any questions on that? If not, we are on to the clerk.
I don't have much to add, except to say that, we're coming up against some elections deadlines in the fall, and we will be actively recruiting, election workers. So if you know anyone, if you're not on the ballot and would like to work, if you want your teenage children to work, send them my way.
How young?
Yeah.
16. We don't have a 16-year-old yet.
No, it's 10.
Are you 16? 16 or 18?
16.
You're older than that.
I have talked to Chris about that. We were thinking about setting up a little table. And so we could register people to vote, register young kids to vote, and also recruit election workers.
Because I know some of the teachers who I'll let you ask, they're very. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and I did that in Boxford too. It was a great resource, so.
All right, any questions from the clerk? Move on to the treasurer.
You look very tan.
Yeah.
We are catching up.
Well, you're on vacation, weren't you? Yeah. Wait, we.
I do have to say, I really like your reports that you make. I mean, the last item was able to sneak on a little vacation, which of course put me way behind again. I mean, you write them as how you talk, which I love, so thank you for that.
Behind at home too, I bet.
All right, anything else for the treasurer? All right, Josh, you're up.
All right, I'll try and do the best I can here. I'm about to tell you is an extremely complex issue. I understand it. I get it. It's hard to relate it to the public. There's a lot of information flying around on social media. There's a lot of information just flying around in general. So I'll keep this as basic as I can. So we had a meeting on Tuesday of the Public Safety Committee, which I am a part of. There is, as of now, a total of $8.2 million left of ARPA funds. That is total. That's all there is to it. Like I said, I'm gonna keep it simple. $4.5 million of that is earmarked right now towards the Lasada campus that they're looking at doing about building a new Lasada facility for more of like apartment, not assisted living, but more of like a independent apartment complex. Nothing's been done with that, but that's been earmarked at $4.5 million. Currently, what's left for public safety is $3.7 million that has been left. So as you know, we passed the resolution 21-72 that was going to allocate $5 million towards EMS, broken out into 3 different portions. And I'm not going to get into all of it, but it comes pretty close to that. So I recommended a plan at the board level after following that resolution that we had passed that has not been changed at all. I recommended that we pass a $4.3 million be spent, and I had it broken out. I can give everyone the numbers. I have them at the top of my head about what was going to go where. But regardless, it came up to 4.3 million. Some of the concern I had on the board levels, there's also a request for $1 million to expand the dispatch center. So how can we do that? And then we don't even have $4.3 million. So where is it going to come from? So I got shot down on a 3-2 vote. The 3 that were against it are Rick Nelson out of Port Washington. The other 2 were Pat Foy out of Mequon and James Crane out of Mequon. They ended up, so out of that meeting came a resolution for $2.3 million to be spent. Basically how that would work is $350,000 to go to Mequon, $350,000 to Thiensville, pretty much $325,000. I don't remember all the numbers down to Fredonia, Belgium. We would only get $225,000. One-time check. That's it. Not even for personnel, just one-time check. Nope. That 100,000 that we got from the last time is what they're counting.
Yeah, but I'm saying we didn't have to do that.
Well, right. So that plus that. So 325.
That's it.
So we're still gonna get that.
Nothing else.
Nothing else. That's it.
325.
One-time check. Yep. That would be it. So. Is it gonna be sufficient?
No.
Not even close. Not even close. So we need about $700,000 to hire what we need. So again, we're going back to again, I know it's complex. I'm trying to keep it as simple as I can. We had a study. We all remember we paid for a study. The study came out, told us where we needed to focus our attention to. The sheriff at the time, who was Sheriff Johnson, pulled the chiefs in their office and said, here's an opportunity. Let's use this policy, this study to create a policy. That's exactly what we did. And now we've been chipping away at that for all these other projects that have come out of there, including, that is the truth, nonprofits, which was over $1 million, came out of EMS funding. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That is a fact. So now we're down to $3.7 million, and we're trying to figure out how we do the dispatch center and still fund EMS services. I will tell you, what I have done, I think I've come up with a pretty good plan here, which I'm not gonna disclose right now, but I think I've got a plan, I think that's comparable. That I think accomplishes everything that we still need to accomplish. To get this program up and running, to get the north end of the county up and going. And still get bipartisan support across the county to get it across the finish line and still have some money left over to do the dispatch center. So I don't have it finalized yet, but that's what I'm working on. On another note, due to the hot button issue that this is becoming, rightfully so, I mean, it's the residents' money of Ozaki County. I did have a resolution passed about 2 years ago that I fought for, that we were able to request meetings be moved from morning to the night. I have petitioned the executive committee on that. I have 5 supervisors outside, including myself, that support moving that meeting from a September 6th at 9 AM meeting to a 6 PM meeting, so people from the public are more than welcome to show up, voice their opinion, have public comments. So I'm hoping that will pass. So that right now, how that works is, because this vote's gonna need 2/3 votes, so we'd like to see at least 18 people attend. And so how it works, I petitioned, I wrote an email with the following signatures. The executive committee will vote on August 28th. I assume they're gonna pass it because I've met all the requirements that were requested. So then that will get moved from a morning meeting to a night meeting. And I would hope everyone would show up to as many people as possible. So I still think, like I said, it sounds dire. Just with what came out of public safety, but I still see a path to do the right thing to get this done. To get the north end of the county up and running with the funds that we need, so it's not done yet.
What a great time for the reporter to leave.
Yeah, well, that's fine.
Not interested in.
Josh, I understood when we were on public safety that this was only gonna cost us like $325 a year between our 4 municipalities.
It is currently, right now, it's like I said, it's right around, after talking with Brian, it's right around $700,000 for the total 3-year period.
Okay, for the 3 year period.
For 3-year period.
And then-
an extra 100,000 for the trade.
Correct.
But the dispatch center, according to your report, that's all about EMS too, isn't it?
Correct.
Yeah, so that's really about EMS too, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all public safety. I
Alright.
mean, it's for public safety, which we spent some money on some software updates. I mean, the $1 million came out of there, so you're down to 4 million, then we had some software updates that we had paid for out of there, so that's why we're down to $3.7 million total that's left out of that fund. But mind you, there's still 4.5 million in Lasada, but like I said, I still think
Yeah.
there's a viable path here to do what we need to do. And I'm getting some support on, so I'm confident we'll still be able to get something done on the board floor on September 6th. I'm hoping.
Is Losada something that's necessary in your mind?
No, not at all, not even close. I think we're gonna have the same argument, in my honest opinion. The argument that we're having now is the EMS did not need that $5 million because there was no way they were gonna hire 18 people in the county for those positions. And my argument to that would be then, that's the same argument for Lasada. If you're going to build something, how are you gonna find the people that are gonna work there? If you're making the same argument that you're not gonna be able to find enough paramedics, how are you gonna find enough people?
They don't have enough.
Aren't they short staffed there at the moment anyway?
Right, they haven't staffing issue, and the 2 facilities that we have aren't even full now.
There is a huge shortage though of independent living places, and that's probably what the county was maybe thinking.
I just spent the last 4 years remodeling all of the apartments
Understood.
and the one that they have.
Yeah, I know, I
I-
know.
But the thing is, the bottom line is government is there to protect the people.
And
My-
government
That's
is-
what you need EMS for.
His
That's the
government
bottom
is
line.
there to make money. And give it to the nonprofit.
Lasada doesn't, right now it's costing the county about $500,000 in the hole every year.
Yeah.
Is what Lasada costs. The other problem is I will sympathize, I actually, the chief from Cedarburg brought up a really good point. And me personally, I think we shouldn't even get involved in this. The county shouldn't even be involved in any of it, in my opinion. It should be privatized and let them deal with it. It shouldn't be a county issue. Here nor there.
That's what surprised me.
I'll get off my soapbox with that, but what he brought up a good point of which I did not realize. Is he said, I don't see the point in building another Lasada. He's like, because it's in my community, it's in my backyard. He's like, they don't pay any taxes. And it's 10% of my calls that I get a year.
Wow.
And good point. It's like, that's interesting. And
Touching ground again.
Right, and now you're gonna turn it into get nothing, so.
Chris, do you have something?
Yeah, I was gonna kind of give you some options from a village standpoint, what we've done, where we're at. So we've had 2 rounds of reporting so far, we had 2 month reports from Newton County. We had no expenditures at that point, so it was, reimbursement required. But like Q2, we did, we had equipment, we had, vehicle purchase, we had Josh was coming on board. So we requested, we built out that information, corresponded back and forth with the, finance office, asked if they needed anything else, what they did. We did film number 2nd report, we got some years of documentation, gave it all to them, we have not seen one cent of reimbursement fund yet.
I can comment on that too.
I think it's blind, it's frustrating, because we now have a paramedic who we just swore in tonight, who is working for us full time and including overtime hours. And he's got to get paid. We are not going to get paid, so I terrible that we get reimbursement from the county if we.
So,
I talked a little bit with John about, his plan, and what would we do if we get 325. Just kind of looking at your rough numbers, our upfront capital costs are anywhere from about 75 to 100K, so let's say it's 100K capital. Each person that we hire, at the current rates, benefits all, is about $96,000. So if we got 325, that could get us through, I don't know, if we include overtime, maybe a year and a half of operations. And then we would be done. And I think that's unfair for 2 reasons. One, it's unfair to the person that we hired, who got hired because we were doing this new exciting program. And 2, it's unfair to the 4 municipalities that signed on to an agreement that was contingent on getting funding for 3 years. And we're now going to bring that group back together to say, all right, what do we do?
Yeah.
And I don't know what that answer would be besides.
if I may, it's still my time here, my report. So if I may here real quickly, so I think. The reason that the funds have not been paid out yet, honestly, and it came out of the meeting on Tuesday, was because we don't have this figured out. So no one's paying anything because we don't even have this figured out. So no one's been paid for anything. Agreed. So I would advocate, honestly, if we want to get this done and done right, I think you need to call the village, call the county administrator, talk to Lee Schwenville, talk to anyone on the executive committee, because that's the next committee that's taking it up. Talk to anyone from, like I said, Mequon, Port Washington. I mean, these are the guys that are like, no, I don't see this as necessary. As a matter of fact, we even had one supervisor in that committee. You can go back and watch, he's on the record. When one of the chief from Grafton said, well, great, now this plan you guys have got, I've got to lay people off. He's like, I don't believe you. That's just rhetoric that you throw out there. That's what we're dealing with. So I would say call, email, get anyone you know, call, email, because like I said, it's gonna come down to September 6th here, and then that's gonna be that, and then we're either gonna miss this opportunity or take advantage of it.
But I think Brian said that Kingsville had never applied for anything
No,
during this whole thing, and now they're getting $350,000.
correct. They're
Along
getting,
with Mequon,
they're getting,
and they
exact-
never applied for anything.
they're getting the exact amount that they initially wanted. They're the only ones that would get it. Which I made a motion at that time, if anyone wants to know, I did make a motion at the time to remove Thiensville out of there and keep it
Mhm.
just 350 Mequon, that got shot down also, so.
So you saying this is not a done deal, we should,
Pressure,
question,
a lot of
pressure.
pressure. Show up to the meeting.
Remember that.
I made that petition, like I said, to move it at night just to try and get as many people there out of work, so no one's gotta take off. I think, like I said, the residents' voices need to be heard. That's why I fought for that resolution 2 years ago, and now it's paying off here, especially with a hot button issue like this, so.
Excellent. Bruce, what can we got?
Yeah, I'm just wondering, we understand about the sustainability and Josh is well into it, but what are the numbers as far as calls, like 700 calls a year that we call for it and stuff or whatever, but that, I mean, that is income, weekly income for us, correct? Right. But you don't have any number.
Not yet, no, so. It was just like.
It's an average.
Just like an average.
Right, exactly.
All right,
I yield my time, then if anyone's got any questions, I'm happy to answer. I know it's extremely complex, it's fluid, I mean, it's crazy. You talk to one person, no, we got $4 million, no, we got 3.5, no, we got 3.6, it's like, it's
Yes.
constantly changing. So,
Yeah, Josh, we
you,
appreciate your
Josh.
work. Thank you. And keep us updated as to how all that works out. Please let us know once you do get that finalization of that meeting time. And we will do everything we can to help out.
appreciate it, thank you.
All right, we'll move on to items for discussion and or action. First one is a motion to approve resolution 2023 M. This is a resolution to approve the quarter Q2 line item corrections. Chris, if you want to just give a 2-second thing about this, that'd be great.
As I said, pretty much all of the payroll items have to do with items looking out of the audit. So it's more moving, payroll costs to the correct funds. So you see a lot of it there. Other than that, it should kind of head up. We've been past 6-7 months in the year. And we, notice trends and whether good and bad. Overall, there were funding, we met it, and it's all 83,000, majority of that is an interest that we always write about, which is great. General fund expense side, we added about 81,000 expenses, so those numbers are further out. On the fire side, we see a slight increase in the amount of funding that they support our operation. That number and that gets just further on and years. And the expenses are on the fire expense side, you see the same same under. On the water utility expenses, you see a large increase on that for repair items. You guys are well aware of. On sewer utility one side, you see the increase in miscellaneous revenues. This is the insurance fund that we have coming up. And it's the same thing on the expense side, we have to cover the expense of the clarify what we're doing. So at the end of the day, this will balance all of our funding again, except for your water utility. Again, the more pretty honest to do your water utility as we budgeted is in the negative. We do that, we do things over periods that happen. That is the justification for you guys asking for an increase that we did last month. So besides water, rest for funding the balance.
Any other questions or discussion on this?
Make a motion to approve resolution 2023-M.
Second.
I have a motion, a second and a third. Call all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Motion to adopt for your strategic plan.
Second.
I have a motion to second discussion. All right, all those in favor? Aye, opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next, I have a motion to approve a letter of acknowledgement with commercial recreation specialists for a splash pad.
So can someone fill me in on or fill us in on this?
And I step around, we appreciate you doing. So this letter, I mean, the agency come meeting, you can plan a certain amount of money, but we have to start the process of the project. You guys have to do, design, getting those really more serious estimates put together. So this letter would start that relationship between the village and commercial recreation specialists. We would then work through Parks and Rec committee to help with the design piece. And then once we kind of have a realistic site plan, design, cost, then we would get your final blessing to say, yes, what we want, this looks really good. And then we would initiate a various fundraising campaign. As I approach my number here, you guys will be allocated $100K of funds. If this comes back to be a $300,000 splash pad, then we're committing to $200K getting raised with this. And I'm gonna hold true to no taxpayer dollars being allocated to this. If you guys would like to set a rough timeline, you can do that too. I mentioned in here we probably spend throughout 2024 on a campaign. So the goal would be spring of 2025 to have commitments again, and then we can. So let's try to realize you really get to material right to do that process. There will be no other upfront costs.
So you're gonna design something and there's no upfront cost of this.
That's what we usually do.
Okay.
Design.
That's why I'm just curious.
If you go with somebody else.
So,
What if we don't get the money raised?
Mhm.
so my thought was, I don't know what everyone else thinks, but I had guess a little shorter timeline than what Chris had. But I mean, my thought was if we can't do this, if we can't raise the money that we would need, I would think the best place to put this $100,000 now that it's in a general fund. Would be into our road maintenance plan that you talked about, which was $100,000 a year. So if we can't get it done by X amount of date, we should pump that 100,000 into there. So at least we build a cushion in case there's a recession, a depression. Bad year,
Yeah,
then we've at least got that covered for maintenance programs. So I guess that's a recommendation I would make if we can't, but we do need to set a date, cause I'm kind of tired of talking about this 3-4 times a year about the splash pad. So
Well, it's in 23 budget, so.
whatever. Anyway, so if we got $100,000 set aside, if we need another 200, and by this date. Like I thought, I'm just throwing it out there, I thought September 1st of 2024, because that's at the end of the third quarter, moving into the fourth quarter. So if you wanted to move it, you could move it for the 2025 or. Yeah, 2025 budget into there. So that's was my initial thought, but we don't have to go with that. That's just what I kind of thought about today when I was thinking about it.
Yeah, my advice is based on the getting contractors, so I would give ourselves like you're right, in probably a year of fundraising. And then, you know, this time next year, then we'd be going out to bid, and then that's not available, they're probably not gonna build it's the spring of 2025.
But that would be if we got the full funds though.
So you're saying set the deadline for fundraising,
Correct.
September 1st?
Of 2024.
Mhm.
It's either gonna come quick or it's not gonna come at all.
I just know we're not gonna, with $100,000, the extra $100,000 sits there, we know.
We need 200,000 if we're gonna.
Well, I know, but I'm just saying with this 100,000 we had set aside,
Mhm.
that's not gonna sit there
No.
forever. Pretty soon it's gonna be like, oh, this project came over, oh, this broke, or oh, well, hey, that money's sitting there, well, let's use that.
Pay us up.
Yeah,
Right,
No,
let's
let's
use that.
not.
if we.
It'll
don't-
it'll turn into the EMS budget at the company
Right,
here, we
right.
start chipping away at it.
They should turn into EMS.
Well,
That's why I was gonna suggest that we take a look at the CIP plan and put an alternate use for this $100,000. Otherwise, we're gonna piss it away. In little repair jobs and this and that, and the pickup truck and.
and again, I just say that's if we
Then we
can't get,
can use it right away.
right, that's if we can't get, we gotta give this a chance to get to the level. If we can't get there. Like I said, my recommendation would have been then we just, it's $100,000 a year for the road maintenance plan, we dump that
Start at that
100,000
Yeah.
road maintenance.
That's fair. Well, again, I think right now the question is before us is do we want to work with commercial recreation specialists and start this process? As far as the goal and the dates for fundraising and all that stuff, I think we're very flexible with that, and I'll be the first to say that if we can't get the fundraising dollars, it's not gonna happen. I mean, we knew that.
But then what do? You send everybody's money back?
No, we're not gonna get the money up front. We get commitment from people for the money.
You collect commitment letters.
Mhm.
Pay up.
Mhm.
That's-
And the reason that I asked this gentleman about the services aspect of it is because maybe those donations don't come in monetary amounts. Maybe it's, hey, I'll do the concrete or we'll do the electric, and we already have some contractors that have said that they'd be interested in that type of thing. So I mean, that type of stuff has come already. And I say, again, I'd say give it a shot. I mean, we've decided in multiple committees, multiple times we voted saying we're gonna give it a shot. Let's give it a shot. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And then that's
I
fine.
will say, I will support giving it a shot, but I definitely want some hardcore deadlines on this. But I think it's, like I said, I think it's fine if we can get, the public can get there. That's why I supported it the last time.
Mhm.
When we were talking about around 200,000, so, but I definitely would like to see something hardcore in concrete, but I'm all for. If it doesn't cost any more to get started up front, if it doesn't cost anything to get started up front, I'm at least willing to. See what can happen, but with some stipulations of this is exactly the way it's gonna go.
Yeah, so would that be a separate thing it would be a
I
separate,
would include that in the motion.
you would include that in the motion to work with them?
Yeah, so it doesn't get lost in
Well,
the minutes.
the motion is to approve this.
Right.
You are telling me. that the whole of the administration state, this money back this state.
Correct.
So I'll turn, I've done fundraising efforts, I get your some of that, I've pretty good guess at the money and I'm pretty big to pay the rest of it. Typically how this works is we do a 5 phase, so 5 phase is where either myself, maybe the president, maybe the parks chair, maybe with the donors for the larger asks, right? We collect a big portion of that money during this 5 phase. And then once we have, 100 or 200K raised, then we go out to the public and say, hey, we only need 100,000. Let's do this kind of fundraising, let's do this. That's when the public allows some of that incentive. So I'm comfortable doing that. I was thinking, I'm trying to think of that time. I'm fine with you putting us, a year out, I guess it'd be September, so I guess that's fair. People are more giving around the holidays, so I'm kind of taking advantage of, the 2 holidays and the 2. So yeah, I think it's fair. Taking quite a great.
We love.
Last on.
We're gonna have to make a separate motion then to meet this deadline.
Well, the only thing we can do,
This is so.
Contingent on. I'm not sure you understand the economy you're looking at that's coming up next year. I
Well,
think
wait,
you're
wait,
way
wait.
too optimistic.
okay, but I don't know that you can just make a blanket statement and say that and he doesn't. I mean, that doesn't make sense either.
We're
So-
heading into a
Yeah.
housing recession and all kinds of stuff.
Sure.
so.
Yeah, I get that.
That's why. We'll get more time. At 1 year out, we'll be very aggressive on it, possible, but that might be tough. I'm gonna put a deadline on it, and say by the end of 2024, you better have that. That way we can go on the bid that winter.
When do we vote on the,
Are you saying like January 1st to 25? Are you saying like December 31st to 24? I guess it doesn't really matter, but it doesn't matter. I'm just trying to get an idea. When you say end of the year, I mean, be better off saying January 1st of 2025? February 1st even? I don't know.
Well, that's another 4 months. For them to work and play.
I just know that the biggest time for fundraising and giving is in Americans. So if I can get 2 cycles of that would be better.
So December 31st of 24.
You know what I mean? I don't matter to me either way.
Yeah.
January 31st.
All the negatives, all positives, all the.
Well, this is just,
Maybe what-
this is just the fund we talked about, it's so for.
Well, we should, because if we don't,
I don't know,
then
but I'm not for anyhow, but it's in the date. We're gonna have to
this is just adding in that we're gonna sign the paperwork for them to
Right.
move forward. I'm trying to put a deadline on it, so this doesn't drag on, cause something's going to come up where it's like, hey, we're gonna need money. It always does, and then it's like, hey, we got that money sitting there, so it's like, if we have it.
Fire generator
Right, if
down
we
at
have
the
it,
septic
we
plant.
have a deadline, then when that's over with, then it's free game.
all right,
I think that's reasonable, so I don't know, we don't need to have that in tonight though.
We're just trying to be fair to you. We want to let you know what to expect and what we're afraid of and blah, blah, blah. We don't want you to go out and do a whole bunch of work and engineering and this and that. And then we just say, well, we really can't afford it because, not our fault, not your fault, but there you're sitting there like,
We can do this on,
Gotcha.
actually use that.
right, that's what we are asking for, right? So,
So I'll make a motion to approve the letter acknowledgement with commercial records and stuff.
A second.
I will also like to know before we vote, if we can get this on the public, we are not spending $300,000 of taxpayer money. We are not even spending $300,000 on this. So this is just, like I said, the stuff going around on social media right now is absolutely rampant. So if we can try and get that out there, that we are actually not spending any money right now.
Can I say something about that, John?
yeah,
I don't know if,
Chris's estimate goes up to $350,000.
I understand it, but then
It
people are
keeps
gonna look at,
climbing and climbing,
Right, I
and it's
know.
gonna continue.
I know, we haven't even done.
I
it.
think, as village employees or village entities, I think we ought to try to refrain from that social media. I don't think it's good either way. I mean, this is what our meetings are for. I think us, I don't think it's touch ground, I don't.
Yeah, but look how many people are here. How many people from village are here?
But then you get views off, you know.
I think,
Okay, you got a motion and second,
I do have a motion in a second. Was there any other discussion on this item specifically? If not, I'll call. the vote.
So when do we enforce the time? Do we have to add it on? Do we add it on to there or
No, I don't think we added on to here. I think
do we have to do a separate
It would-
meeting and?
I mean, honestly, the best time would be when you put it, when you review it with my goals for 2024, just make that. I mean, really,
Okay.
you're telling me to, hey, fundraise for this, leave this out, whatever mark it is, use that money. And then I can do confidence on how that goes.
Perfect. Yep, and when would that be?
See what
Thursday.
Okay, all right.
see what
That's the question.
we forget.
All right, so I'm gonna call a question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
I didn't,
Yeah,
yeah.
start with Bruce.
Nay.
Aye.
Aye,
Name,
Aye.
Aye.
all right,
Thank you.
5-2.
5-2, that's. what I-
Thank you very much. All right, next we
We
have,
need it.
correspondence. We did get
And that's
something
fair.
from Mid-Moraine. It looks like they're having 2 meetings in September. Well, the first one is going to be, the legislative committee, it's held at the Jackson Municipal Center starting at 7 PM on 13th September. They want somebody to be there, so I'll most likely be there. Anybody else that wants to come with me would be great. Otherwise, the dinner meeting that they have is September 27th. Deansville is actually the host. There is no deadline or anything set yet, but I'm sure that will be coming. So. I believe that's all we have. Is there any items for future consideration for the?
What
board?
does that actually mean? Because every time I say something on items for consideration, it's regarding something that I care about or whatever, but I always get chat, well, we can worry about that later or whatever. But I just wanted for our boards, for public safety especially, and Joshua expressed that, infrastructure is big time. And that money for the splash pad, and that's why I voted no. To even have this guy waste his time, because it's, I don't believe it. If it happens, God bless everybody. But I don't believe it's gonna happen. And then the other 46 grand that we put into, the vehicle, I'd like that. We have to consider that too, so it's a large amount of money.
Never put in, right? We never. put-
Yeah, that's what.
Yeah, it's a, what do you mean, 47? It's gone. Yeah,
Yeah, we scratched that one.
right, so it's in the general fund, but it's still our,
No, that was scratched, they were included.
Completely. Completely.
It's just reserved, yeah.
for what?
For
When
reserve.
did we vote on that to get, when we took it out? There's not even 3 meetings.
I don't think it was even in
Put it to include the final collection that they came up with, and the amphibious wasn't in that collection.
It was in the 24 budget.
In your point, in the CIP list that you approved for 2024, 5, 6, 7, 8, yes, what the 1 years. And then the finance committee just approved the next CIP, they put that money in that.
How can they take that out without a board approval, because it was approved by the board, right?
And so it's
No.
finance committee's job to approve that initial CIP, and you'll see that on the board along with your budgets when we get it.
And just to clarify, so yeah, I mean, items for future consideration are things for the board to consider at a future date, whether it be at a next meeting or whatever. So if that's the question that you had, that's the answer that I have. Is there anything else for future consideration? If not,
Motion to adjourn.
thank you. Motion in a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries at 8:54.
I hope I can afford the damn spot.